Welcome to Season 3 of Practicing the Practices. My name's Brad, and I'm here with my co-host, Casey. Regular listeners, welcome. But Casey, we also want to welcome in new listeners.
Absolutely.
We are excited to do what we always do. And our mission here at Practicing the Practices is to help people learn and practice the way of Jesus. And you see that in the format of our podcast, right, Casey?
Yeah, our format is really simple. We want to talk about the principle, the why behind a practice. And there's so many different ways that we practice the way of Jesus and so many different types of practices that we talk about. So what is the why behind it? How is this practice done? Why would we do it? And then how you do the practice, like the real practicality of the practice.
Exactly.
And then we actually practice it together at the end of each of our episodes.
And that's what sets this podcast apart. We're not trying to change the world, but most podcasts are about content download. It's about all the information. And we really want to move people towards not just taking in, absorbing, and learning, but actually beginning to live it out and obey it. So,
Hey, speak for yourself. I'm actually trying to change the world.
well, Casey, it is good to meet someone whose ambitions are greater than mine. So if you're a longtime listener, welcome. If you're a new time listener, welcome. This season, on Season 3, we're going to change up our focus a bit. We have primarily spent most of the previous 30-something episodes on the inner life of the follower of Jesus. Now, we've touched on the external life. We've talked about hospitality and mission, but we're really going to kind of really dig into those in some deeper ways here in Season 3. So, Casey, let's just touch on some of the topics of discipleship, of spiritual formation that we are going to get into in this season.
Yeah, as we talk about engaging more outwardly as we practice the way of Jesus, we're going to talk about things like friendship. We're going to talk about service. We're going to talk about mercy and justice. We're also going to talk about being a witness for Jesus in our culture and evangelism.
So for many of you, these external practices will be upstream. You're like, oh, wait a minute. I want to go back to sitting on my back deck with coffee in contemplation. Well, that's not the fullness of the way of Jesus. That's a piece of it. That's valuable. But there's also this outliving of the way of Jesus in our schools and in our neighborhoods and in the church and all over the globe that's really important. And for others of you, you're like, finally, enough of the wellness retreat, Brad and Casey. It's time to do something.
Where do you fall on that, Brad?
I'm probably somewhere in between. The introverted nature of myself really thrives in the more solitude pieces of life with Jesus. But there's this kind of, performative, competitive side that also wants to like really accomplish things. So it's a little bit both. But my upstream is definitely the external things.
Yeah, I think we really want to be there right in the middle of those two. I think a lot of times the contemplative stream is criticized for just being a lot of navel gazing, a lot of that inward practice without the outward reality. But we're not going to be able to do the outward reality well if we're not first connecting to Jesus in the more inner practices. So I think that this is a good order for us. We've done all the inner work and now we're taking it out.
There we go. And also in this season, we're going to feature something new. We're going to have a couple of interview and story episodes.
I'm excited about that.
And so we want to hear people who are in the game, so to speak, in the transformative process, how that's going for them. So we're glad to have you back. Look for new episodes to drop in the next few weeks. Make sure, if you haven't already, subscribe. Hit that subscribe button or hit the follow button and make sure you get episodes sent directly to you. You can help more people experience practicing the practices by leaving us a review. So help us out, do that as well. Casey and I will see you down the road as Season 3 of Practicing the Practices gets underway.